Hello, hello,
All right, good
hello.
evening, everybody. Welcome. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Liberia Shall Rise. I'm here with my own brother, Mr. Sharif, all the way in the cold place called Colorado. I can visit him around this time of the year, but it's all good. One day, summertime, I'll visit my brother. Mr. Sharif, how are you?
I am doing well, my friend. Good to see you, man. The Lone Star State is doing well. So I am here. We're okay.
All right. So let me just introduce what we have here today. Then you can please play that song for us. Then we can get the show going. Okay.
You got it.
All right, family, welcome to Liberia Shall Rise. Today's topic is talking about regional security between Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Ivory Coast. You know, once upon a time, our leaders, especially William Tubber, decided to start the Mano River Union, where he partnered with Shaka Stevens, and they came together and formed the Mano River Union. Next, uh, um, Guinea joined us, and then Ivory Coast decided to join. This thing was great idea. The plan was for these countries to come together and say, let's figure out what we can do economically to prosper together, to partner in security, and to partner in the betterment of our people. And these ideas were discussed a long time ago, and it was going fine. And eventually, recently, we saw something where some soldiers from Guinea came to Liberia, and from the way the video show it, they were trying to forcibly own the land in Liberia. So we want people are asking questions whether this is something by mistake or if it was intentional. And these are some of the things we'll be discussing: the security of our border, the security of our people, and the unity of our region, like all the people in the Mano River Union, to talk about security of them and also economic benefits. So please stay with us, share the show, invite your friends. Again, don't forget to get your toboggi, cassava gravy, or whatever you can. Just don't do anything else. Sit down and watch us as we get the show started, as we get the show going. Mr. Sharif, can you play that song you have for us? Let's get the show going. Thank you, brother.
You got it.
Oh, hail Liberia, hail. Oh, hail Liberia, hail. This glorious land of liberty shall long be ours. The new name, great be her fame, and mighty be her powers. Oh, hail, oh, hail, oh, hail, oh, hail, the Lone Star forever.
I know that's not the song you were expecting, but that's one of my favorite songs.
Oh
So
no.
I will always play that song, especially when we're discussing issues pertaining to Liberia. So I'm super excited. Get the show on the road. Let's go to the discussion, because I'm telling you right now, I'm having some of those moments when the Civil War, we kept hearing about the Civil War coming to the country. The kind
Mhm.
of fear I used to have as a kid, I'm beginning to have similar fear. Hopefully, we are
Yeah,
not
and
heading.
I think, Sharif, you and many Liberians are worried, but I would say do not worry. We have an elder in the house, and I have a video
Yeah,
later on. We can play it for people to hear it. Our president actually took an elderly role, right? And the way he handled it, some people said he didn't handle it correctly. He should have put his pants on, his uniform on, and stand at the border and say, "My people, this is our border. You mess with us, you'll finish. You'll be finished." And the president said, no, we don't want to handle things like that. We want to handle things diplomatically. Let's sit down and talk. It's easy. It's easy to start war, right? To destroy stuff, but it's hard to put it back together. So The president said that, and I'm very proud of him for taking that stand because we don't want no more bloodshed, you know. And the question that I took from this, and I want all of us to think about it is, you know, Sonny Okosu had this song long ago that said, "Who owns Papa land? Who owns Papa land?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that at least now Africans, Liberians, Guineans, all everybody are coming together to say this is our land. Instead of fighting each other, I think what we can do is to figure out what we can do economically to develop our borders to benefit each other. And as we go in the show, we'll go deeper into what I'm talking about, Mr. Sherry, because I think that's the place to go. There's no need to share Sierra Leonean blood. There's no need to share Guinean blood. There's no need to share Liberian blood. We need to just focus on how we can use our expertise, our knowledge, and our skills and our beauty to help each other improve and prosper.
No, no. Look, I'm right there with you, man. Look, I got to tell you this. Nobody in Liberia will advocate for war at all. Nobody wants war. We don't want it. We resent it. In the strongest, we will condemn it. If anyone tries to start anything, we'll condemn it in the strongest sense possible. But what we cannot hide from is the simple fact that we want to be able to get back to the place where we say, look, our borders are secure, and what took place, what Guinea did, it was very aggressive, and we have to condemn that in the strongest possible sense. And I also saw several videos, coming from Guinea. I think one of the leading influencers in Guinea, a lady, I think her last name was Keita or something. But basically, I really love what the translator did with that video because she was speaking in French. Guinea
Mhm.
being a francophone country, so she was speaking French. But the lady who was translating what that influencer was saying did a great job to kind of translate the whole thing, because all she was saying was Liberia. Our president Dumuya is the Trump of Africa, of West Africa. She said actually he's the Trump of Africa, and so he can go and remove leaders and remove anybody and anything Liberia does, it will shake. And and
Mhm.
and, and Stephen, I don't want to go back to our show that we did 2 weeks ago, but
Yeah.
look, the instability in the region in West Africa, this thing started with Niger and all the other countries were just like, no, nothing's gonna happen. But the instability in the region is getting very troublesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
You notice 2 weeks ago, you and I were sitting on the same show. We're talking about the issues that took place between Ghana and Liberia, where a Liberian was killed in Ghana, and all of these people were inflaming the thing, and social media they were running with that. Now you have where this same Guinea nation went and encroached on Sierra Leone, and that was resolved. And then they came and pushed the border on the other side to Liberia. And so we will get into it. No one advocating for war. We don't want war, but we want to be able to make sure that the very first function of every government is to make sure its citizens have this sense of security. And in this case, I am worried, like many Liberians, whether we even provided that to the people.
I totally agree with you, brother. I totally agree. I know folks said they were not hearing me. Sherry, you can still hear me, right?
I'm still hearing you. I'm
All
hearing
right.
you.
So, folks, just put a thumb up if you can hear me. Again, this is Dr. Positive. We're talking about the issue between Liberia and Guinea. And totally, Sharif, I agree. You know, when we talk about Liberia rising, it goes back to the beginning, right? The
Mhm.
big puzzle, what are we looking at? National security, how important it is to every president that take over the country, right? And the value of your people is an important thing. Whether they all the way to the border, the last time in the border, when was the last time a president went to any of the border cities? Do you understand?
Mm.
Other than election time, when was the last time a president or a mayor or a senator or representative, when was the last time one of them went to those places to see how their people are surviving? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, security is key. And I think we cannot have this discussion without talking about security. But I just want you and I to look at something first, right? To
Okay.
put the whole bigger perspective in our viewers' ear. Like, how is it important that you and I here, you can jump up and go to Mexico. You can drive to Mexico, or you can fly to Mexico, or you can even from here to Canada, you can drive to Canada, or you can fly to Canada. They roll between Canada and USA. I can tell you it brings in billions of dollars every year.
Sure.
Billions, right?
Sure.
Even the same thing around concerning Mexico and the United States. It brings in billions of dollars every year. Once upon a time, they discussed what is called NAFTA, and the trade agreement went on, and they started operating between the US and Canada and Mexico and all those people. But we have to look at that and say, all right, as Liberia, as Guinea, as Sierra Leone, what can we do so our people can transport their goods and services easily? Some of the problem people are constantly having, a lady trying to go to Guinea to buy something, she have to pass through a whole lot of security. The road may be bad. Besides this person being harassed at the border, right? The road is bad. They spend a month and hours just going maybe to a 3 to 4 hour journey. Those are the kind of discussion we should be having as border countries to say, hey, Liberia, I will fix my end of the border. You fix your end of the border. Let's partner up and make this thing work for us. We'll have toll on our end. The money that we collect on our end, it goes to Guinea to help develop, keep maintaining the road. The toll you collect from your end goes to Liberia to help maintaining the road, right? And then one last thing I will add before I let you chime in. Imagine we have some natural resource deposit around Guinea and Liberia border, just hypothetically, right? And we need to bring somebody to kind of check do a survey to determine what value those resources have, right? Instead of Liberia paying separately to do their own survey to come to their land, to where their land in, Liberia and Guinea, or Liberia and Sierra Leone, or Liberia and Ivory Coast could partner up and say, hey, let's pay for this one person to come, and this person do a radius within the border area to determine what resources we have. Once that person find out what resources we have, then we then partner up to pay people to come and mine it and see what benefit it can give each of our country. Then use that money to start building schools, building hospital, paying civil servant, or whatever the country want to do with that money. But because we're not looking at the big picture, somebody can just say, oh, I will cross the road and plant my flag, and now I'm the owner of this land. And that should never happen, because once that discussion is in place, before a Guinean come to own land in Liberia, they will want to pass through the right process of purchase land and do everything. Or before a Liberian go to Guinea to do the same thing, they will want to purchase land and do all the same thing. But because we don't have these things discussed at a bigger level, at a national level, the common people, or this one, it was bigger people, the military guys, and just decide to do what they want to do. I'll let you chime in, brother.
The thing is, look, while it is true that I agree with you, I can't say for a fact what has been happening behind the scenes. I don't know
Yeah.
if some of this conversation has been had. I can't say. However, though, what I do know is that every country, you owe it to your citizens to make sure that your borders are secure. You live in a country here, you and myself will live in a place where every president that comes to office, whether you are Democrat or Republican, border security is always a big issue, because, and they are not even securing the border just from people who are in the military, but they are securing the border from illegal crossing. And they call these folks illegal immigrants who come into the country without credential, and they jump the border, they come over. So they're securing the border. Border security is that much important. Nobody have to tell any country that you need to have an office or a checkpoint, or whatever you do, you need to have some sort of guard at the border. And so I'm sure other countries in the West African region, they are doing it. I have not traveled across the border from Liberia to other African countries, so I couldn't tell you. But I'm sure serious countries are doing it. I mean, at least I see something above water side where you still have the Sierra Leonean on one side and you have the Liberians on the other side, securing the border, making sure that no illegal crossing, number one, or no encroachment takes place. National security, you do that for a reason. Now, another thing I want to kind of talk about, we as Liberians, if anybody should learn from issues pertaining border crossing, it should be us. We should definitely understand that the border need to be secure at all times, because we experienced something called the Civil War. And that Civil War, it came through a border. Most of us, we didn't hear anything about the war until the rebels were already in Nima County. And say,
Yeah.
oh, they are in Butuo. Oh, how did they get here? Where were the military? Even though it was announced months that these guys were coming. But the border, it was just so easy for those rebels to cross over and come right in. And so at that point in time, every country coming out of civil war, you start to think to yourself, man, I need to make sure I have a military presence at the border. I need to make sure that people are actually secure. You have to. You have to do that.
Sharif, can I just say something quick before you continue your border thing? So the last week, if I remember in your discussion, you had a mayor here from Total Tat that is like 1 hour or 2 hours, 3, 4 hours away from Horville. And the guy said for a long time, the government never had budget for the city mayor. The city mayor never had budget. So you want to tell me in this, the same country that don't have budget for their city mayor, you want to tell me they will have budget for border guys all the way to Guinea border and Liberia border, or the little landing that nobody watching. You want to tell me they will have people say, no, I don't think they go. I don't think we read it because we're not discussing that in our discussion, our budget. We're not planning anything concerning that in our budget. And I bet you, if you check our budget for national security, you may not see much there covering the borders of Liberia. You know, so I will let you continue. I just
No, I
wanted
mean
to
that's a very good point. You're absolutely correct, because last week we had the mayor and he said that Dennis Ben. He
yeah.
said that he's the mayor for Totota, and basically a lot of work he's doing. But I would say this, Stephen. I would say this honestly. This is, in as much I would love to make sure that all the city mayors have budget to work with, which is understandable. But that is not important compared to securing your border, because this is a national issue. A lot of the issues that we talk about, look, securing that border is priority number one, because I will tell you what, a lot of the issues that we are having today in our country, most of these things take place at the border level. For example, I'll give you a good example here. When you look at the how you call it, what is happening with drugs coming into the country. Drugs are actually coming and they're crossing from the border area. It is not every drug that actually come in through the airport. Some are crossing through the border. So it is very important that the border is secure. That's priority number one.
No, I beg to differ, right? So a border city is also a city within a country, right? So, and we have to look at the big picture, Sharif. If you have a mayor for that city and the mayor have his own budget, right? His a custom officer have to be taken care of, right? Look at
when it comes to that, it's not a mayor problem though.
No, but I'm saying
nothing to do with the border security.
I'm saying if a mayor is in a city that borders Liberia, right? He also need to be paid, right? So we cannot say the mayor is not important. I just wanted to correct you on that. Like the city mayors are also important because they are part of the country. And if we look at the big picture,
I'll make my point clear.
If we are looking,
the point I'm making here is this: when it comes to the border, the national border, that's priority number one compared to city mayor in total time. The border is number one. That's why I say the national interest of the country, that border needs to be secure. I mean, if Monrovia City Mayor don't have money to, what are they doing so much? sweeping the street. You know, I'm sorry, but the national security, that's number one.
Mhm. Yeah, but anyway, it's a topic for another day because my logic is a city is within the border is within a city. If you agree with me, right? So if you are taking care of the border city, then the mayors and all have to be. But let's focus on the topic here. You totally right. The border is number one priority when it comes to drugs, when it comes to goods and services coming in our country, when it comes to weapons, how to walk into Liberia. They walk into Liberia because the border was not protected, right? And we're making the same mistake again. Anybody can walk through Liberia any day and start a revolution anywhere because we are not protecting our entry point. So what the statement you're making is 100% on par. And like we constantly say on this platform, our country have to start not only waiting for election and say zekwe. Everybody have to start looking at the big picture. What is a country? A country is not Monrovia. A country is not, just one corner of your constituent, or if your country is not just the capital building, right? When we take out the Capitol building, like what is Liberia? And those discussions have to be held somewhere seriously on a serious level. Everybody, you go to Liberia, majority, 90% of our army people either in BTC or or almost how do you call it, where the new place they just evicted people from by the 72nd there, and these things they have to say, all right, where do we need our people the most? All these borders place, you have some military something sitting somewhere near there to get ready to protect the country at all costs. Or even if we don't have enough custom officer, some of our military force can help in those areas, right? Because if they are just being trained and they're sitting now in the barracks, they're not doing anything, we can leverage them to help in other areas that they are highly needed. Hmm. Hmm. The weapon you have, don't laugh at our country.
They push a little bit to see if you're going to push back. And they start by testing. And because they know that there's nothing you can absolutely do about it, and you look so weak, your weakness is going to make them to get seriously aggressive towards you because they came and there was no resistance from you to stop them. And that is what we are talking about. If other countries come and they encroach and they know that there was nothing Liberia could do to stop them from going in that direction, they will continue to push. And I can't wait to see the video that you're talking about that you say you want to play. Look, no one was advocating that Liberia go to war. That is not what we're saying at all. No one is saying that we should definitely go to war. We are not advocating that. However, what we were saying is this, that you should at least have a presence at the border. Nobody should come and already cross the border and your common citizens start fighting those people before you decide to send your presence at the border. No one should have told you that. It's just a common sense. And we are not just speaking about this administration. We are speaking about all the other administrations that came before this one, because none of them did it. So no one here is saying here blaming Joe Barker government. Nobody did it. It was not done during Weah time. It was not done during Salif time. And so we are not blaming one administration. We are saying nationally, border security, national security is pertinent to the peace of the nation. And if we didn't learn anything from the Civil War, we should get it now. That any group can just wake up one morning across the border, and before you know it, your whole people under attack. So
Yeah.
national security is border security.
So, Moriba, I don't know if it's me you cannot hear or Sharif because I'm just using my computer audio today. So if it's me, just let me know. I will switch to another microphone. I upgraded, but it seems to be Sharif said he was having some issues, so I had to switch the microphone again. But just let me know if it's me or Sharif, then we will try to fix that. Yeah. So Sharif, again, like what Mr. Wida is saying, how can our politicians talk about border security when they're going all the way to the border to bring people to vote in Monrovia, right? Because
Oh, sure.
it's none of these things are being checked. But I don't know at what point, right, Sharif, if we look at what is happening around the world, I don't want to say country's name, right?
Sure.
People are using drones. People are now developing robots, right? That will be fighting war. You understand?
Go to Rwanda.
Right? People are developing these sophisticated things that will be fighting war. And we sitting down here and we don't even have one simple $500 drone passing at our border entry to check to see if somebody is even encroaching on our border or something. We can start small, and say pay for purchase some drones to just be and pay some young kids. These kids are not doing anything in Moreover, but on YouTube, Facebook, the kids are already used to those things. You can pay 10, 15 kids, and all they do is monitor our border and send report to the army, and all the army people can be doing it, because I don't know what they're doing in BDC and 72nd right now. But we need to look at security at a bigger level. But Shabir, I know security is important, right? But I talk about something, but you said nothing on it. You came back to security. Let's go back one more time. What do you think, though? Imagine a future, right, where Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Ivory Coast, where let's sit down and say, guys, we have a great opportunity here. How can we leverage our border entry point to benefit our both countries? What do you see in that kind of future for Liberia? Then we can come back to the security small more.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Steve. I agree with you. I mean, I think I really like the fact that you started with the analogy between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, the NAFTA trade, the free trade agreement. I like that you started the show with that particular concept. And it is very possible that we could do the same thing in our region, Liberia, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast. However, though, the thing is, it had already been put in place. I know you probably think I'm going to go negative. That's what the Mano River Union was all about. It was not just for peace building. It was not just to say, oh, we are neighbors, but it was also for economic impact. So that was already in place. Now, if that was in place, but your brother still came, your little brother, because Guinea was not even born when Liberia was already jogging.
Yeah.
So if your little brother can still come and knock you around the head and start pushing your button to make you do stuff, then they don't even care for rule and law. And I think that's why that lady from Guinea, the social media influencer, who said that this Dumbuya guy, he is the Trump of Africa. She knows exactly what she's talking about. It's not a compliment to him. She knows exactly what she's talking. She's saying that he's a bully. He's going to push people around. And that guy, he does not have, I mean, I went by not just researching, he does not have any kind of track record in Guinea. And all of this is just noise making, because it is a junta government he running in Guinea. So this is one way that he can hold on to power by disrupting what is happening in the countries, so people can see him to be a strong man, to disrupt power. He's a weak person. He's a very weak man. Nobody cares for him. Nobody wants him in leadership because he came under a coup d'etat. Nobody cares for him. But that is just one way he can flex his muscle to show the people that he is good. And so in that sense, he cares nothing for rule and law. The Mano River Union agreement is already in place. It brought economic cooperation between those countries. But the fact that he will go to do it to Sierra Leone and turn around and push Guinea Liberia on the other side, you that should tell you the type of person you are dealing with.
Yeah, I understand that, but Sharif, if we just discuss things, right, and we don't put no plan in action to work those plans to kind of constantly revisit our discussion and say, guys, we talk about building roads. It's been 40 years since we had this Mano River Union. The road between Guinea and Liberia is still bad. What have we done for our people? Our people still have to walk in mud to cross this border. We only still have one lane border crossing. Why is it such that for 40 years we haven't done these things? So those discussions have to be held. And I believe, right, those discussions and money is not being put towards it to make the effort come to fruition. So these things just get discussed, the paper just gets signed. Like the video I told you I have here, the president is talking about, they had a great discussion.
How will you get that? When you play the video, we'll look at it. So, but let's talk about this, right? When you're talking about how can we make the roads, make the roads accessible and friendly, people can travel in peace. Stephen, I don't know if you travel from Bowater side all the way to Freetown. That road is beautiful to drive. It is paved. It is a high standard road. So Freetown did their part. They brought it all the way to the border, right? But drive on the Liberia side. If you don't have a good tire, your tire is going to burst open. From what I heard now, they are working to make that road a better road.
Okay.
But every leader that come in place, they say the same thing. So to answer your question of how can we make all of these things happen, we need serious leadership in the country, serious leadership in Liberia. There's no way you will not advance, you will not move forward if you are paying one lawmaker $15,000 a month, even though there are other civil servants in the country who are not even making $250 a month. But you're paying one noisemaker $15,000 a month. And that noisemaker, his salary alone, if you can sit and really do the budget and work with those people, you will be able to say, if you want to pay people $5,000 and take $10,000 from 100 plus people, you will be saving money. You can put it towards development. But those noise makers, you call them lawmakers, they go sit there and they make noise and they cause each other all day. Noise, they don't achieve anything. And they are the ones getting benefiting. Because when they do the budget and send it to them, they will not pass the budget except there's something in there that benefits them.
For them, yeah.
And that is the problem we have in the country.
So
leadership, nation-minded people will make that difference. Or else these people don't care to go to.
So I know if Sapolusia were here, he will say he will fire all of them and just make his own decision and change the country. With the form of government we have in Liberia, do you think is possible to have these discussions at the national level when the people that are making the law, when the people that are making the budget, or when the people that are putting in the policies in place don't even have an idea on the essence of things that we are talking about here?
Steve, I agree with you. There are countries in the world that don't have legislative body like we do, right? There are countries in the world, and we can name some of them. The Great Saudi Arabia, they don't have these legislative bodies that we have. There are other countries that you can look, they don't have it. And I think it's just a waste of our time to have those people in the house. I mean, you and myself, we're not talking these things during dole time. I always kind of talk about dole time because I was still picking, but at least I knew we had government, and I never knew a single representative. I never knew a single lawmaker. Now you can say now, the only time I think I only met this man named Community we said because I knew his son at the time he was in government. That was the only thing. But I didn't know. And you can probably say maybe because we didn't have social media back then, that's why these guys, we didn't know that they were dysfunctional too. Maybe they were dysfunctional. I don't know. But what we see in the house today, in these two houses, what we see, dysfunctionality, capital D. That's what you see. My man, look, sometimes I'm ashamed to look at someone to even say that person is one of our lawmakers in our country. It's a waste of time. Sometimes you don't need these people. You go to the people directly. Look at the mayor we talked to last week, the guy from Total. That man is working, taking his own personal resources and developing his city, even though he's not getting the cooperation from his senators or from his representative, but he put in his own resources. That's someone who has his community and his nation at heart. If
So,
you give him the opportunity, he'll do better. Not the
so
other people.
Sharif, I will ask you, and I will ask Mr. Weeder here. I know he's been visiting Liberia. You will be visiting Liberia soon. I will be visiting Liberia soon. How on earth, right, do we move this country forward and make this country to think bigger than just Monrovia? How on earth will we do that if everybody that's supposed to be making that decision, if all of them are in Monrovia?
You know, Stephen, and the way I would like to answer that question, I still go back to, I know we're talking about the border security today. We're not
Yeah.
going to come back to that video, but I want to address this my way. You see, there are people always say don't compare America with Liberia, but no, we'll compare it because we took the system. Every piece of system we have in Liberia, we took it from America, down to the holidays. It may not be the same day, but the same thing.
Yeah.
You have your Independence Day in July, we get our own in July. You say we the people, we say we the people. You speak English, we speak
Pledge allegiance.
You know, I play allegiance, the same thing. So we'll compare it. Where that district you're in right there in the city of Keller, you have your lawmaker there. And one of the things that your lawmaker have done, whether that man is eating or he's licking his finger or he doing backdoor thing, you don't even feel it. You don't care. You don't know. Because when you wake up in the morning, when you drive that road, when you're driving, you're not bouncing up and down. You don't get to your office with headache. You're driving smooth. Your roads are paved. Within certain number, every number of people, children you have in your district, they say we need a school. So you have a school built. And your lawmaker has lobbied, you may not know, but they have lobbied to bring jobs in that particular community. So your son does not have to leave Keller and go all the way to Dallas to go look for a job. He can work right within your district. That is where the legislative body actually work. So the question you're asking, how can we move the country forward? We build it in such a way that these representatives, so-called representatives who have in the country, that they will be the representative of the people. They will go back to their communities and they will develop those communities because they know the need of the people in those communities. That is how you develop the country. That is how you develop the district, the community. Bring jobs, lobby and bring jobs and do things. But because they have not done so, they don't care. And so they make noise all day. At the end of the day, they get in at 15K. At the end of the day, in that gas coupon. At the end of the day, that children going overseas to go to school. So they don't have children living at the border. They ain't got children living in Foya district. They ain't got children living in Kipamos on the other side of our foreign border. They don't care. Until they can really care, then we'll not be having this problem that we have today, Stephen. That's just my take on that.
Mr. Sapolosi, welcome. I don't even want to ask you what your point. Just go ahead. You know, just go ahead. I know you keep ready. Yeah. How are you? Welcome to the show. Just go ahead with your point of view.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm sorry for being late. I've been driving and was unable to get on the network. But anyway, at least I'm safe now.
Come on the show. You got to change our t-shirt. The love for liberty brought us here. You need to get rid of that thing. Change that thing.
Well, I'm representing Liberia somewhere today. That's why I brought this t-shirt. That's why I'm wearing the t-shirt. But anyway, I know we talk about the border issue, and I know I'm kind of late, but when it comes to what's happening in our country and the border there, it has a broader implication than you and I are looking at, especially from some of us who got background in the military. And maybe you guys have discussed this, but from my point of view, when it comes to the way we treat our military or our defense or security, in fact, our entire security system is, in my opinion, is unacceptable, right? If you look at most countries that are developing, that have gone through the war, like ours, most of them, the first priority is to develop their defense or their military. Now, if you look at what happened to us before the war, we had major general, we had lieutenant general, and so forth. Today, the highest ranking military personnel in Liberia is a brigadier general. I don't know why. And another thing is, in the last 12 years, or almost 14 years now, every administration tend to retire very young generals, and I don't know why. I know the military that I serve in, most of our generals tend to be in service sometimes 30, 40 years. Sometimes they are very old. It's not about their physical fitness. It's about their experience. It's about their training that they have gone through over those years, those experiences that they bring to the table. So the government refers to those people all the time for advice, right? They keep them around for advice. Now, in a country like Liberia, where we don't have incentive, we don't have any veteran incentive, let me put it that way, where we have no retirement plan for our military personnel. I don't see why we are retiring these young generals. These are people who the government have paid money to train.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a nutshell, we are not prioritizing our defense system, and that is why the Guineans military could come to our country. The first time you could tell me, say, okay, we didn't know, but it happened 3 or 4 times. Well-armed guys cross to your border and tell your citizens to leave their normal activity and go somewhere else. That is an invasion, if you don't want to call it that way, but that's what it is. It is an invasion, because if they have any dispute with you on the side of the border, instead delegates to the Liberian government and they discuss those issues on the grievances. But the fact that they've crossed your border more than once with armed men, that tells me, in my opinion, that tells me that's an invasion. And because our people are not intentional when it comes to running a government, that is why we're having some of these lapses. All right. I know when I got on, I heard Mr. Sherry talking about the lawmakers, and I'm one of those people who always say we should get rid of a certain branch, right? Especially the legislature. Get rid of them, because I don't see that I don't see why they're getting paid. Either that, or you don't pay them, because these guys just go to the house and make noise. Now, in the military, I mean, in the House of Representatives, they have a committee that's supposed to be defense or security committee. I don't see the well-trained, and this is just my opinion from my observation. So far, when the late Prince Johnson was alive, he was the only one so far that I knew that had a proper trained military experience that was on that committee at the time he was alive. Today, I don't know anybody that is serving on that committee that has a military experience. I don't know. All right? Because you can't tell me Yega Koluba got any real military training that he's using, besides the rebel activity, which is not disciplined based on their behavior during the war. So if we want to move forward, the first thing we need to do is cut most of the lawmaker pays by at least 75%, divert those resources to the defense ministry and the security apparatus, because that's your first line of defense. That's the first line of everything, for that matter. In fact, that's the first line for your economy, because if a company knows that your country is secure, that their resources to bring in is secure, right, they will feel relaxed. But where a foreigner can, let's say if I had a mining company in that area where they were doing where they kept crossing and creating panic into the system, I mean, to the Liberian citizen. Let's say if I had a mining company there and our employees are afraid to come to work because of the Guinean military crossing over. Tell me, how much do you think I'm going to lose per day, a week, and so forth, right? So that shows, or that's an indication of insecurity. So those are all things we need to look at. My first approach right now, look, the executive got the power. The lawmakers can say, oh yeah, we made it, it's a law. Yeah, but the executive also can use its discretion. But at the same time, none of them are accountable to themselves, because even the executive too have some huge problem. They themselves are involved in the whole situation when it comes to corruption and all these different things and waste. Okay, there is no way in my mind, vehicles that we buy supposed to last, according to most of the vehicles that we buy now, the brand new vehicle, the lifetime is 10 years. Okay, the lifetime of a vehicle is 10 years. Now, most of the lawmakers and most of the government officials, they're not traveling to their various districts. Why is it every 3 years, every 4 years, we have to buy brand new vehicles? And these other vehicles, and that's another waste of money. And this vehicle that you're replacing is not going back to the civil servant to be used. Are we taking those vehicles? Are we taking those vehicles from them and giving it to the classroom teacher who is working to work? Are we taking those vehicles and giving it to the medical doctors who are employed by the government to go to work? No. But we take the same vehicle, we leave them with that vehicle, then we'll buy another brand new vehicle and give it to them. That's waste.
So Sapolosia, I know
Yes, sir.
you gone far play with this thing. You went in your area that you left more. But let's come back to this border thing, right? It
Yeah.
already happened, right? It already happened. Let's say
Yes.
it's, between Sierra Leone and Liberia, there's a likelihood that the same thing can happen. What can we do as a country to make sure that we now keep an eye on our borders, to make sure that at least if somebody is encroaching, we know that somebody is coming in? And in your review of the budget, have you ever seen anything about border security in there, or how can we make sure we put money towards this thing that is critical to our national security? Sharif, you go in first. Sapolosi have been talking plenty. He just came on. You want Alex been here for a long time.
Yeah, look, I already told you my point, right? I think Sapolusi and myself, we spoke the same language. This is the one time that maybe he and myself speak better
Yeah,
together.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we speak better together because the thing is, look, border security is national security. And I'm not saying just be at the border because you want to keep Guineans or Sierra Leoneans Ivorian away. That's not what I'm saying. But at the border, because you want to make sure what's coming in, what's going out, it is strictly for economic reason, and it is there to benefit your country and the other country. So I'm of the opinion that, look, we have to secure the border to deter even people that actually want to they want to think foolishly, to deter them. And I already went back again. I know I touched on my own area that I like to. The drug struggle we have in our country today, most of these drugs are coming through the porous border that we have. People are not just flying drugs into Roberts International Airport. They are coming through these borders because the borders is so porous. Look at border. Nobody there. Nobody there to even pay attention to what was happening. People just coming, going. Like they go on a farm, they're going back home. They cross and they go back. Nobody there to protect. So drugs can come in. Who is going to be there to stop that drug from entering the country? Nobody. And so that's what I'm saying, that national security, I mean, border security is national security. You are there to at least deter bad behavior. You are also there to make sure that others that will want to come into the country to do anything illegal or to do anything stupid militarily, they will know that you have a presence there. So that's just my take on that. And when it comes to the national budget, I think we reviewed the national budget when the budget first came out. We were disappointed by what we saw in the budget. We were all disappointed. I don't see a line there. There was not a line there that goes and say this was allocated for national security. I can't remember. Maybe Sapolusi remember better, but Sapolusi, I'll let you go.
So yeah, so when it comes to that budget, before I address the budget, let us not forget this is not the first time we have had these incidences. I remember during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government, there were the same thing happening along the Ivory Coast border, where they were talking about people leaving from Burkina Faso and coming and encroaching on the people land in Grenada. Don't forget that. There were also some speculation at the time. I remember the Grenadians associated in the Americas were also complaining about people training foreigners, and they had a base in Grenada at that time. So we shouldn't forget about this thing. And we were told that these were foreign nationals. Now, we're not saying Africans should not cross border and all this stuff, but let us do it legitimately, right? Let us come to our country, register as they will do here, or like I will go to Ghana and other places and do the same, and do things regularly or normally. But there was encroachment of lands or taking of land in Grenada during Ellen Johnson Sirleaf time. The same issue came out again during George Weah time. And now, this time, it's not surveillance. Now, it's government doing it. Now, the budget. You and I always see this blanket, right? The budget last year, it was $800 some more million. This year is $1.2 billion. But there is no difference in the budgetary allotment to these various institutions that we're talking about. The what we call essential, right? The essentials institutions like the military, healthcare, education. There's nothing. All they're doing is giving more money to the same people that are already receiving more money. That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
So it is sad. And some, we're discussing this yesterday. People say, "Oh, there is no money. There is no money." No, there is money. The only thing we're not doing is using the money in the right way. We're not appropriating our fund or channeling our fund in the right direction, right? I mean, I'm of the opinion that since Liberia is struggling, and we're coming from war almost 20 years, and our economy is bad, and all these different factors are there. Let us pay people based on what they do. Fee for service. It doesn't matter whether it's the lawmaker or the executive. Everybody should be paid by fee per service. You show me what you're doing, and I pay you according to that. Until we can settle down, develop our country, and structure it. Then we can have lawmakers go and just sit in the house, work 3 days a week, and make $15,000. But until that time, if the man spends 8 hours at work, let us calculate how much is 8-hour work, and let us pay them for that. But you cannot put a guy in a house, and that is why politics have become more attractive than going to school to learn something. Because anybody can become a lawmaker. I don't have to graduate from high school. There is no requirement that I have to meet to become a lawmaker. I should just know how to use profanity, and I become a lawmaker. So instead of people going to school and learn, I mean, we laugh away, but just recently, one of the guy who is well known for using profanity everywhere, he was running for senator for Nima Kane. And he had won. He was going to be in the house. We got a like of Yeka Koliba, who every day he does the same thing, and he have won election at least twice, and he's in the house. So that's a lesson that we're teaching our young people, that you don't need quality education to be a better person. Just go and cause people, and then you can go in the house and you become a millionaire.
So again, that your point you just ended with Mr. Weeder point right here. He said we shouldn't blame the lawmaker, we should blame our citizens. They need to be educated to vote right, to do the right thing, to perform their civil responsibilities, right? So Mr. Weeder just hit it right on the spot right there. So
no, Steve, he didn't hit it on the spot. He didn't hit it on the spot. That's not true.
Why not hit it? The man hit it.
The man hit it.
So you think the people need to be educated? So Sharif, let me pause 1 minute, 1 second. You just stated that Yeke Koluba, for example, right? He's not educated. He wasn't formally educated, but he just knew how to cause enough, and our people elected him. When he performed, he insulted the president, the vice president. I mean, almost everybody he lined up and led all of them, and they voted for him the second time. So how can you exclude the people from this problem? You understand? How can we exclude the people from this problem, even though the people we have in office that you are blaming for the problem that is occurring, they are still in office because the people that we say have no power keep putting them there. So how can we exclude? How can we separate the two? Y'all help me here. Me, I'm a simple guy here.
Yeah. But let me tell you why.
Let me tell you why.
No, let me tell you why. It's simple. Let us not forget when the war was fighting, we that were going to school through our war, we were more inclined to know who to vote for.
Mm.
But let us not forget, 2006, 2007, around that time, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf removed civics from our school system. So you can't just blame the people for that. You have to have access to something before you know about it. The reason
so
we was made
Mr. Weeder then.
We should blame we should blame the voters. We can't blame the voters when they have not been given the resources to make us.
Let me help David a little bit. We're not agreeing with Mr. Weeder, and we're not saying Mr. Weeder's point is not valid. But here's the point. You know what is happening in our country? We need to pay attention to it. People are deliberately doing things to keep our people uneducated, so that their children tomorrow can still come back and rule over our people. And the way they have done it is by removing the fundamentals of government from school system. You know, you and myself, we did civics. I mean, Dr. Posted, we all did our little civics. By the time we're in 6th grade, 7th grade, we knew everything.
I know about junk is there?
No, man. The Constitution, the voting right, the legislature, all that stuff.
We're talking about the justice and the judiciary system and how government works. We learn about those little things. By the time we got to 9th grade, we knew those things. But if you can now go and remove that from our education system, then you are letting the people move blindfolded. And so the loudest person that can come, that man that can come and say, I will give you 5 cup of rice for you to vote for me. I'll give you $20, $20 for you to vote for me. That is exactly what the people are going to go by. The person who speaks the loudest, that person is going to be the last voice to hear. I kid you not, Stephen, during election time in Liberia, it's one of the best times to be in the country, because you'll see one person, one citizen, they can have 4 or 5 different party t-shirts. Because when ANC come, they run there, they get ANC t-shirt. Maybe they're looking for clothes. Who knows? But they run there, they get their own. When CDC come, they run there, they get CDC shirt. When Bwaka come, they run there to get UP shirt. So one person can walk away in one election cycle. You can see them wear everybody. Today, that one get dirty, I wear CDC on. CDC get dirty, I wear UP on. It is a foolish system. It is horrible. It is
so gentlemen, we almost out of time, right? So you guys are, from what I'm hearing, you're saying the root cause of this thing is our lawmakers.
No,
right?
no. I mean, we are saying, something better could happen. Basically, we say national security. I'm saying, I don't speak for South Lucia. National security for me, the government dropped the ball. I'm not just speaking of this administration. I'm speaking of the previous administration, because that border has never been secure. It's never been secure. And they should have had that border secure because of lesson learned from the Civil War. But apparently we didn't learn the lesson. And so I brought the lawmakers in. I said, because you said there was no money for border security to pay those people. That's why I brought lawmakers in. How will you have money when you pay these lawmakers $15,000 a month for making noise and doing nothing? Take some of them.
And Sheriff, not just the lawmakers.
Sapolosia, hold on. I'm going to ask you something. Cut the lawmaker budget. How much will you cut from the lawmaker salary? And what will you do with that money to help to secure our border? Like, just help them here right now. Just make that case for us, for Sapolosia. Yeah. And
yeah, but Dr. Passy, I already said it. Looking at the lawmakers, right? You got 103 people. 103 people, they spend less than 3-4 days to work. Okay? Less than 3-4 days. And the days they're spending at the Capitol building, 80% of that time is just noise. There's no, they're not making laws. They're not signing concession agreements. These are live. These are people who watch live on Facebook all the time. So that there is nothing, there is no agenda that they're putting on. For example, let's look at what happened just recently, the border. You have a border crisis, and you got lawmakers defending the action of the intruders. I mean, you just think about it. The lawmaker who's he's supposed to be on the defense committee or the national security committee, and he's defending the intruder. Now tell me, what's the point of that man being there? So that is why I said cut their entire incentive. First of all, only give them paycheck. Do not give them any so-called this budgetary alignment for car. And no, you pay the man to work. The teacher, the classroom teacher we have there, who having more impact on the country. You gave him $100, not $150. You don't give him scratch car. You don't pay his rent. He's not exempted from paying tax. You don't buy him car. You're not even giving him transportation to go to work. So why should you give a man who gave $15,000? Why are you giving all the other benefits in a country like that? So what I'm saying is cut all those incentives by 75%. 75%, redirect that money to the defense ministry, to education, to healthcare. That's what national security is. National security is not just the border, or Steve. It's all those things that will have catastrophic, impact on the citizen. Healthcare is one of those things. Healthcare is a huge emergency or national security issue, concern. Because if there's an outbreak, that's a huge problem. That's what happened with Ebola. That's why Ebola killed a lot of people in Liberia. COVID didn't have that impact because it was not, the virus does not survive outside as compared to what the Ebola does. So that's why we didn't have that much impact of COVID, but we have been devastated as the same as Ebola. So cut them by 75%. And it is not only the lawmakers. The same with the so-called ministers, because they're all in the same bracket. Most of the ministers are making about the same money that the lawmakers are making. What is the state for presidential affairs doing that they're getting 25, 21, 22 million dollars? What? And most of their employees are part of the civil service. So it's just redundant money. They just create themselves more money, and the people that need the money, they're not giving it to them. We gotta be real about this thing. If we want to really address the broad problem, we have to cut the wasteful spending. There should be no reason why anybody in Liberia, working in government, is making up to $5,000. I don't see 2,005 is to be the maximum a month.
Go ahead, Sherry. Thank you, Mr. Sapolosia.
No, look, I agree, Stephen. Look, you have to look around you, right? You have to look in our country here where we live. They always talk about equality. You and I'm not economist, but our basic economic that we did in high school, we learned about this wonderful man called Adam Smith and the Wealth of Nation, the book that he wrote, and all of that. So he talks about this concept, right? This wealth of nation. You have all of this wealth. But many times, though, when you come back to our country, Liberia, you will notice that, yes, in as much as we have this wealth in the country, but very small number of people enjoy that wealth. One of the people I really, really celebrate, I've been talking about, he just joined the show, Dennis Ben, Mayor Dennis Ben. Here is a man who is working and promoting his city, Totota. And he's not close to Monrovia. Monrovia don't even know what he's doing there. But the people on the ground know exactly what this man doing for his place. You got people in our country, Stephen, and when you look at the entire country, you look at our national income. Hey man, in a country where people can barely survive on $5 a day. Stephen, I know you go to the country, myself, I go to the country. When you go there, sometimes when you get $5 for them to call you good meal, it's hard. It's hard because of what we have done to the currency, the mixing of this currency, all that stuff. So if you have that kind of country, you as chief executive in the country, do you feel good to pay certain people here at the top of the bracket, and you have people who are making impact in the country? Don't even, hey man, one of my good friends, Sapolusi, I know this guy. We all graduated from the same school. He was the first neurosurgeon in the country, the only neurosurgeon in the country for a long time. Do you know that man could come here and work? Mm-hmm. He could go to any other country and work. He's always traveling around. Last time he was here in Florida, learning on some new technology. But do you know that man struggles sometimes to even get salary in Liberia? Neurosurgeon. So, I mean, when you look at that, can you compare that man expertise with any lawmaker in the country? What law have they made that will make a difference in the people's life? That's what I'm saying. That's what we're saying. Set this table. And if you're going to say lawmakers, look, most of the lawmakers in our country here, they make less than the lawmakers in Liberia.
Oh, by a lot.
By a lot. Lawmakers in Washington, D.C., they make less than lawmakers make in Liberia.
And let me just buttress you, Augustine. The Speaker of the House for the United States makes $250,000 a year. The Speaker of the House, whereas your Speaker in Liberia making $1 million. Think about it. And this country, the budget is in trillion. And you pay your Speaker $250,000. Where the poor country like Liberia, where their GDP is less than 2.5 billion.
So I think one thing we discussed concerning these lawmakers' salary and everything, and we always go back in the same circle, right? And I know, Sapolosia, you are the constitutional scholar.
And don't give me, I don't want to take credit for something I don't know. I only read, I like reading
you enjoy where I'm going right now. You are the constitutional scholar, and you have once stated that the people have power. The people have power, but they don't have education, right? That's what I'm hearing from this discussion.
They should have
power. Right? So if the executive branch, the president cannot drop the lawmaker's salary, how on earth these guys are giving themselves pay raise? They are doing everything to give themselves stipends and everything. How do we change that as a country in order for the money to spread around the country instead of just going in one direction? I know we out of time, but let's just go over it one more time before we finish the show. How do we do this? So like how do we bring people together to then say let's do some memorandum or something? What's the term they use? Petition, is it petition, or they got some term they use to kind of vote people?
Let me just take about 1 minute and close on this thing, and then Sabalusa can close the show. But to answer your question, Stephen, this is what I would say. Okay, the legislatures in our country, they have this mob mentality.
Mhm.
I will explain what I mean by that. If you present a budget before them, and they go through that budget, and there is nothing in that budget that would benefit them,
They don't let it
they're
go.
sending that budget back. And if there is a concession agreement, and that concession agreement, if they're not getting a kickback or they're not getting a cut, you will fight up and down. They will send it back to they will send it back because they always want to get some sort of benefit in it.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm saying. You take away the legislature, we don't need them. We really don't need them because they are not performing the function. We don't need those people. And
So
that
if
is
we take them away, where would the check and balance be? Who would check the president? Who would check
But then what's the point of being there? If,
Yeah.
if they are there, no check and balance, they're just wasting money. Then what's the point of being there?
Well, anyway, gentlemen, I think this was a great discussion. Sapolosia, you want to tell one? I'll let you close this since you are the security guy. To say something to your country on how we can secure our country, our border, how important this is, and let's look at the big picture and try to make our country better. I'll let you end this.
Yeah, so thank you guys. I'm sorry again I came late, but for us to move forward, it doesn't only rely on the Liberians in Liberia. We had a discussion with some of my colleagues yesterday, past former students or former classmates, and we discussed similar issues. It will require all of us, and when I mean all of us, Liberian diaspora needs to become a force, but we have to unite. That's the first thing we need to do. We need to unite as a diaspora Liberians and have a developmental plan for Liberia. And if we are united and we're going in with one force, one voice, we can have an impact. The only reason I believe the Liberian diaspora have not had impact in Liberia is because the current diaspora Liberians are not united. They all want different things for the country. They say they want the same thing, but they all have different views, different ideology on how to get this thing for the country. If we can have one voice under one umbrella, we'll go and tackle issues, whether it's the legislature or the executive branch, we'll tackle those issues with them, like we did with the dual citizenship. I think it will work because that we can use that as our foundation, the dual citizenship or platform that will open and we'll all push that agenda and we'll made it through. The diaspora Liberian needs to get involved. Now with the country, it's going to be difficult for us to do anything at this time because right now the current administration and most administrations are going to come immediately. They are going to be in cahoots with the legislature because they all don't have the will. They don't have the political will that will take Liberia in that direction where accountability will be a priority, where education, healthcare, and all this stuff will be a priority because all of them are fostering their pockets instead of the country's need. So we as Liberians can start thinking about the future generation. Let us, again, the diaspora Liberians, unite, have a developmental plan that will say, okay, 10 years from now, this is what we expect of the voting population. But we have to put programs in place that will guide those people for those 10 years, 2035, 2045, whatever you want to do. And then in Liberia, we have to have something on the ground, people on the ground that will love the country and start working with different organization groups, civil society groups, religious community. Let us start working together to see how we can change the country going forward. But to rely on the government and the current legislature is a challenge, and is a challenge that we cannot, we, the diaspora or whatever, cannot address at the moment. But we have to plan for the years, the 10, 20 years to come. Now with our border, I don't know what this government is going to do about it. I know the current president used to be a major in the armed forces. We need to look at our defense. First, we need to prioritize our military structure. We need to go back to the baseline where we had our generals, training them on jungle warfare and all those kind of stuff. Relying on America is not always the best thing, or relying on foreign agencies or foreign countries for our defense support is not a solution. We need to start training. We, at a country with 5 million, we're supposed to have no less than 500,000, at least 500,000 or 50,000 military personnel in Liberia. Other than, I don't know how much we have now, but looking at what we have, we should have taken a posture at that border to deter the Guineans military from coming back. But with that, again, Liberians, look, we got work to do, and we have to be committed. One thing I noticed in this particular situation was how Liberians were divided over external force, external invasion. Everything is not about politics. You cannot have your country being attacked by another country, and then you divide it on how to approach those things. That should not be. Let us take politics out of it. If it's internal, I understand the political conflict. But when it is external, let all have one voice and attack those issues and address it the way it's supposed to be addressed. With that, I say, Liberians, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks, Sheriff and Dr. Positive for hosting. And we'll see you guys next week. God bless and have a good one.